PR Connections Radio presents.
I guess you can be very successful without one, and probably some people do. But I would not have accomplished anywhere near what I have accomplished without a mentor. I have had a number of mentors, and my whole life has changed dramatically. I went from going nowhere to having a business that operates all over the world. If you want to win in a big way, you want to get a mentor. It's almost like getting a direct pipeline from their mind to your mind, where you're gaining all their wisdom, all their experience, and all the studying that they've done over a number of years. And like that, you get it all in a short period of time. Are mentors important? Well, I'm going to tell you, mentors literally changed the course of my life. Let's take a look at what thinking into results is and what it could do for you, how it came about. You see, my life had changed dramatically. I went from earning nothing to earning over $1 million a year. And I was sitting one day and I was thinking, how did all this happen? Do you know, I was reading Think and Grow Rich. I was studying Earl Nightingale's material. But a lot of people have read those books and studied Earl's material. And they weren't accomplishing what I was accomplishing. So I had to ask myself, what am I doing so different? You see, I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I was earning over $1 million a year, and I didn't think I was that bright. I was also raised to believe if you don't go to school, you can't win. Well, I hadn't gone to school. I went to high school for about 2 months. I didn't have a good job. I owned the entire company. If you want to be happy, healthy, and prosperous, it's all here. Thinking into results is going to show you how to get it. If what I've said really triggered something in your mind and you're thinking maybe, contact the certified PGI consultant. Hit the button, leave the information. Do yourself a favor. Sit down and talk to them about what this program can do for you. This very well could be the decision that will change the rest of your life.
Thank you, Bob Proctor. This is Sid Maystreet. I'm a certified consultant at Proctor Gallagher and the Thinking in Results program. And today is lesson 6. Your environment is your looking glass. But to get back to Bob Proctor, he's been studying, teaching these principles over 50 years. It's all based on this book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Bob got this book in 1961 and studied it every day for the rest of his life. He has been teaching these principles. And Thinking in Results is a program that's put, I want to say condensed, but put everything together in an organized fashion into 12 lessons. And we're doing 12 podcasts. Today's number 6. And my guest today is John Gage. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Yourself?
Just seeing you today makes my day. John has been one of my star students with Thinking in the Results. Has had some incredible results. Has a great story to tell you. Before I start his story, I want to back up a moment about your environment and your looking glass, seeing who you are. We want to talk about our image and how to change it. And this goes back to 1960. A plastic surgeon by the name of Maxwell Maltz had an occasion where one of his patients, everything was perfect. And it changed their personality. And then another patient showed up, everything was perfect, and nothing changed. And he came to realize that we have two images, the one that we see and one that the outside world sees. And that's at the heart of Thinking in the Results, is changing your thinking, changing your programming, changing your self-image to what you want to be, what you want to do, what you want to have. And today, John Gage, who's a trained voice actor, is going to share his journey, where he's at today, where he started, and best of all, when you hear his picture to where he's going. John Gage, share us where you're at.
Oh, okay. I can do that. We were talking about, he was talking about environment. This is talking about, you realize that your environment includes your imagination because it's all an image of where you're going. With thinking pictures, it's all images. So the environment's, and this is something I had to learn, your environment's everything about you, where you're at, where you live, what you think. But I'm on a pretty good health journey. I'm getting much healthier. I'm actively seeking work as a voice actor. And yes, it's not necessarily easy. It's very competitive, but okay. Just because it's competitive doesn't mean I'm not going to make it, because I know I'm going to make it because I've decided to do that. And I'm on that path. I'm on the path for health. We were just discussing earlier, my weight loss, I'm down for almost 50 pounds now in 6 weeks? When did I start? That's why you date these things. So I can look at the start date, which makes it nice because I can go, so 6/8, since the 8th, June 8th. Yeah, June 8th. So since June 8th, I've lost 43 pounds. I don't think that's too bad.
That's very good.
So, and all because I started writing it down. But when you're 6'8" and you weigh near 500 pounds, you're going to lose it quicker to begin with. The nice thing is, the pain from my accident isn't as severe. My motion's better. My joints don't hurt as severely. I'm more active. I'm doing more things, so I'm getting more exercise, burning more calories, all that good stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm at the process of going through that fear barrier that he's talked about, and just pushing forward, knowing that the results are gonna end.
Tell me, John, something else happened. There's another major change in your life where you're at right now.
Well, I hope you're referring to Liz.
Well, of course.
Because
wonderful.
Where I was coming from. So where I came from, I was married for 30 years. Quite unhappily. I thought I was happy, but when I started doing this program, I received no support. When I tried to do anything on my own, so there was always this negative emotion that was there. And where I'm at now, I have this beautiful, wonderful wife that supports everything I do and is also my motivation for where I need to go. I mean, yes, I want to go do things. I want to travel the world. I want to go fishing. I want to experience life with Liz. And the only way that's going to happen is if I achieve these goals. It's the only way it's going to happen. Because these goals are going to give me what I want. And I want a very full, enjoyable life. And so that is a huge motivator. I mean, we discussed, when I was in the hospital for 2 months, they discussed amputating my legs because there was no pulse in my feet from the knees down. I don't have that issue now. They told me I'd be on 9 liters of oxygen for the rest of my life. There's no tubes on me. And it's all because of this program and your mentoring. And me going, I've got to get, and it wasn't easy. scared the ever living daylights out of me. I gave up everything to move here to be with Liz and change my life. And it's the best decision I ever made.
So tell me, John, how did this all start when you first, where you were at when you met me and started your TIR experience?
Everything I did was stagnant. I would do really well, and then all of a sudden I would sabotage myself. I didn't understand why. I wouldn't. And then I would quit. I'd get 3 feet from the gold vein and stop, because that fear barrier would really affect me. It's like, oh, I'm going to do something I'm uncomfortable with. Oh my gosh. And that was something that I couldn't get past the fear barrier. And I realized that now. I didn't understand what it was then. It's like Bob said in the opening comment. He didn't understand why he was accomplishing these things, and other people give to these people, and they would read the same material. There's an old saying from an 80s cartoon: knowing is half the battle. The problem with knowing is you have to use that knowledge to move it forward. Otherwise, it's like building a hot rod. For all those car people out there, it's like building a hot rod that's got 750 horsepower and can do the quarter mile in 10 seconds. You get it out, you make sure it runs, you drive it one time, and you put it in the garage and let it sit. It's not doing anybody any good. It's just sitting there. You're not looking at it. You're not driving it. You're not making any progress with this vehicle. And that's what this is. So I was letting things sit. I knew what to do. I understood what to do. I could even explain it to other people. But I wasn't taking that knowledge that I knew I was going to run into a fear barrier. I knew I needed to imagine these things. I knew I needed to have a vision board. I knew all of these things, but I didn't do all of these things. And where I'm at now, not only do I know all of these things, I do all of these things. And my wife loves it. I'll sit at the table and in the morning, I'm happy and thankful that I now weigh 275 pounds, have a 40-inch waist, 72-inch chest, 10% body fat. I walk a mile per day, do a full body workout 3 days per week. I eat all natural healthy foods, keeping my mind and body at a healthy peak performance. And she loves it. My previous life would have been, that's stupid. Can you just read that to yourself? Well, no, it doesn't work if you read it to yourself. You have to read it out loud, because your subconscious mind needs to hear that it's real.
Yes.
So we fool ourselves into thinking we were in good places. I mean, I went through a real hard personal life. During that time, I developed a heart condition. And a year after I developed that heart condition, I was in the middle of a divorce. And it's not pretty. I mean, you lose things like credit scores and all kinds of stuff when that happens. It's how you handle it that makes a difference. And because of thinking into results and your mentorship, it was something I learned to handle correctly, because you have to really push forward. When I got really sick, there were multiple things. Part of it was probably due to depression. The other part was not really caring about what happened to myself, probably due to depression. The other part was that there was like mold in the house that I didn't realize was there. There was other factors, but ultimately, I still had to make the decision to get better. I made the decision to allow it to happen. That's what people don't understand. Well, that's another thing. I had to do. I had to take ownership of what was happening to me. Like my weight gain, when it was my fault that I put the weight on. Well, then it's got to be my fault that the weight comes off, or intentionally. Did I say that correctly?
John, can I interrupt for a moment? Your voice, this last minute or so, your voice was a lot lower. I don't know if you need to be
Oh,
closer
it
to
could be the mic. The mic sitting a little distance away from my voice. But
yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect right there.
okay, I just picked up my voice a little bit. So learning to accept the good and the bad about your decisions is all part of this. Once we learn how to accept that our decisions, no matter what may have influenced them from the outside, they're still our decisions. We have to own them. No matter what bad things happen, it's irrelevant if you just decide to say, well, it's a bad thing. And I'm just going to accept it's a bad thing and be negative about it. Well, your subconscious is going to accept that as reality. Or you can say, you know what? It was a bad thing that happened, but I'm not going to accept it as a negative. There's a positive here someplace, and I'm going to find it. And your subconscious will go, okay, what positive are you looking at? So find the positive in whatever it is. There's always a positive outcome. You just have to decide what that is.
John, you talking about the outside, just a quick, I won't say review, but what we've talked on previous lessons is our five senses: see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. That information, Bob likes to say, is coming at us 24/7 like a 5-lane highway. And all this outside information is how we grew up and how we were taught to react to everything that's on the outside. But it's the inner game that's important.
This is true.
And we're dealing with, I don't say the conscious mind, subconscious mind. And whatever goes into the subconscious mind, the subconscious has to accept it. So the challenge for the conscious mind is what they don't want to let in. And one of the ways, when you're just talking about changing the way you look at something, what's the good in it? That's your perception. And just a quick thing on we call them the mental faculties. I like to call it the intellectual faculties, and which is imagination, intuitiveness, intuition, memory, perception, reasoning, and will, or focus. And we're using all 6 of those at any one time, or one at a time, but we don't have to think about them, but that's what we're doing. But in thinking in results, you learn how to purposely use those different faculties. And perception might be the most important one, because how we react, what's going on in the world, even today, do we want to let in negative things? Or do we want to neutralize it, change our perception, how we see it? And what you were just saying, John, if it's something we don't like, there's always some, there might be lemons, but there's lemonade in there. Right. And we laugh about that, but you can't, I get a little chill just to say that, because it's so important. We heard that when we were growing up, but no one told us how to do it.
Well,
how do I make lemonade? Well, that's what you're learning with thinking in the results. So, John, you've been making a lot of lemonade.
Well, it's turning out pretty good too. But Bob said the same thing. He didn't understand how he was doing it. He just knew he was doing it. And I grew up with terms like, you can if you think you can. And if you think you can't, boy, you can. And that's true. because your subconscious finds the truth always. That's like, you know, I'm doing so well with my health. Yesterday, I went and talked to my cardiologist, and my infraction ratio, which is the left side of the heart and how it pumps blood through your system, was only at 40% just a couple years ago. And because I've implemented this and started understanding how it works and turning it into a positive, it was at 65%,
Wow.
above average for my age by 15%.
That is terrific.
And that is something that you can't get with medication. You get that from tenacity, as a getting through that fear barrier, understanding that I have to remain calm about everything, understanding that my body can heal itself given time and proper nutrients, and understanding what those nutrients are and understanding what my individual body needs for those specific nutrients to make my body get healthy again and become something of substance. And I mean, that's not anything to, well, as my grandfather used to say, well, that's not something to shake a stick at, boy. You know? And he's right. It's really not. That's significant. The fact that my body no longer needs 9 liters of oxygen to hit a 97% O2 saturation ratio. And if I'm talking above people's heads, I apologize. It's a little thing that they put on the tip of your finger. It reads two things. It reads your pulse and it reads your oxygen. Well, the oxygen is oxygen saturation. It's how much saturation the oxygen you're intaking into your body saturates the rest of your body. It has to be above 93%. Mine runs an average of 97 to 98 now. And when I first, when they told me I was going to be on oxygen, it was running at 63, which is like near dead.
Well,
so
I'm glad you're here, John.
I am too. Go ahead.
Can you tell us what the future is going to look like?
Actually,
as the future, you're in the future. Tell us your story.
Well, I'm so happy and thankful now that Liz and I live in our beautiful 5,000 square foot home with a marine aquariums in every single room. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but that smell is just wonderful, and fish are relaxing. I have a private with our private fishing lake. Due to my great health and career decisions, it has given us the home, allowing us to travel when and where we like. As a matter of fact, we're going to be headed to Ireland to visit my family roots, meet some local residents, and go fishing in some of those ancient waters.
I like that.
So my life is what I've always imagined it to be. Thank you.
Tell me about your career and all the things you've achieved.
Well, I'm a lead bad guy in a cartoon for children that's become very popular. As a matter of fact, it's earned me an Academy Award for voice acting.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. So, and the wonderful thing is going to all those little Gen Cons and talking to the children in the voice and making them smile and giggle as you talk in there.
What's your favorite voice that you kind of were sharing with me the other day?
Oh my goodness. Well, the SpongeBob one. I like that one for my grandkids. The SpongeBob laugh is great because, it's one of the things people learn. You learn. Everybody's like, they try to do the laugh when they hear SpongeBob laugh, going, and you can't do that. It's hard to do. You just have to manipulate the chords by going, and eventually it comes out. It's like Mark Hamill when you would watch him prepare for the Joker, he would start talking in the voice, and eventually he would become the Joker and start saying, I can't do that Joker. It's too difficult. But eventually you could see him transforming into that person. And I living in the South, I kind of like having a Southern drawl. It kind of fits in down here, y'all. And I mean, heck, you even get to learn all those new Southern words like "yontu." You know what that word is?
What was that one?
There's a picnic going on down at the beach. You want to go?
Oh,
let's go. So it's fun. Of course, I don't know that I necessarily would want my brain surgeon talking like that. Well, you say here, son, we're going to take this little sharp thingy here, sharp point. We're gonna draw a little dot around your skull, and we're gonna take this little sharp thingy here, and we're just gonna kind of take this sharp stick. We're gonna cut your skin. We're gonna, no. and they don't, but no matter what, they're fun things to do, and the southern accent is predominant down here, which is kind of nice. I kind of enjoy it. Gives me a chance
John, just to shift for a second. I'm going to be coming down. I'm in Las Vegas. John's in Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm going to make a little trip down there next June.
Correct.
June 11th. Tell me what's happening.
Well, my beautiful wife and I are actually going to have a whole wedding ceremony and have our friends down here. It's going to be out on the beach. We're going to have a live DJ, and we're going to be having a fiesta. It'll be fun. It'll be open, and it'll actually be turtle season too. So it's where the sea turtles come and lay their eggs. So you may get a chance to see a sea turtle on the beach. It does happen. I mean, they're the place where it's going to be held. Last year they had one that was near their walking space, so they had to keep people away from it. So there's some really neat things that happen down here, dude. I'm telling you, it's a whole lot different than Vegas. Vegas, you have to drive and drive and drive. And did I mention you have to drive just to see water? Here, there's a puddle. There's a puddle. Every 20 or 30 feet, there's literally a pond where you could pull over, take your fishing pole, and catch a fish. And it's so green here. It's just amazingly beautiful. I love it.
John, I'm just looking at the clock now. I think we have to wrap this up. And we'll be back next week with the terror barrier. And that could be the centerpiece for these lessons, 12 lessons with thinking and results. The terror barrier, when you come up, there's something you want to do that you have to do, and you just don't want to do it. And we show you how to, what we call break through the terror barrier. Learn to do the things you don't want to do, but are necessary for you to have your results, reach your goals. And it's very, very exciting. I'm so happy that, John, you become my best friend, and to see your transformation. Man, your attitude, I don't know if I saw you smile for the first couple of years.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
I think they're ready. If they haven't already, they got the banner down at the bottom.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.